Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In thinking what we can discuss tonight, I asked a few of you what topic captured your fancy, at least for now. And so many said that happiness is a major concern. Those of you who were in Los Angeles on Thursday at the Studio Om, you heard me speak one aspect of the happiness puzzle. When people say that they want to be happy, that implies automatically that there's some obstruction, there's some barrier. And when people say, I am happy, your natural next thought is, how long is it going to last? In other words, we're all so accustomed to the coming and going of happiness and distress. As Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, Matra Sparshas tu Kaunteya Shitoshna Sukha Dukkada. So when you think of happiness, you think of something that you love for it to stick around, but you know it won't. So you brace yourself, even in your happy moments, unless you're totally wasted out of your mind. Even in your happiest moments, you're thinking, how long is this going to last? When is this going to end? What are you going to do? What are we going to do about this essential flickering nature of so-called happiness? So I was explaining Thursday that from the Bhakti Yoga point of view, if the happiness doesn't last, it's not really happiness. But we're so desperate for good times and good feelings that we'll cling to the briefest appearance of happiness as being better than nothing. So in this way, we sell ourselves short. We agree to such a low standard. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would exclaim, how can people today settle for such a low grade of so-called happiness? And that's quite a jolting statement, because each individual in this present age of darkness, each individual likes to think that my grade of pleasure and happiness is fine. Could be a bit better, but I could use a bit more of whatever I'm getting now. We become conditioned to so-called happiness. From the standard of Bhagavad Gita, real happiness has no beginning or end. This is what Krishna himself explains. Not to intimidate us, not to push us away, but to bring us closer to what is real satisfaction. So when you think of what is enjoyment, you think of a good time, a good feeling, but generally without others. How can that be real enjoyment, even in the illusory sense? So we talked about on Thursday, because I assume most of you weren't there. And also it's good to grapple with this subject matter if you intend on coming to grips with your own life. Because whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not, You're in business as an entrepreneur. What's your business? The pursuit of happiness, that great American hope. You're pursuing. The question is, do you get what you're after? There are two kinds of ways to be an entrepreneur. Any business school will tell you this. The first is to have the conception that the opportunities already exist. I just have to discover them. They're out there. The opportunities for happiness, the opportunities for fulfillment, they're already out there. It's just up to me to uncover them. So that's the discoverer notion of an entrepreneur. And we'll explain how this all relates to happiness. The other notion of an entrepreneur is the creator entrepreneur. The opportunities are not there, but I create them. So perhaps, what's a rough example? Like about the iPhone. Did Steve Jobs see an opportunity for such a thing as an iPhone already existing, or did he create the opportunity by his own ingenuity? In both cases, you would say ingenuity is required to either see the opportunity that already exists or to create the opportunity out of nothing. So this is about our approach to happiness. Happiness is already within me. I just got to uncover it. My life's mission is already within me. I just have to find out what it is. Or the other, my inner meaning, my inner happiness will be created by my life experiences. As my life goes through its various stages, I'm creating my essence. I'm defining my essence day by day. In either case, you won't get what you want. The profound lack in human society today is genuine knowledge. People know everything except what they should know. And this lack of knowledge, known in yogic terminology in Sanskrit as avidya, this lack of real knowledge causes all the problems. People don't know what to do, what not to do, but they say, I want to be happy. So what is that happiness? So recapping what we brought forth on Thursday, you could break happiness down into 3 subdivisions. One is enjoyment. We referred to that already tonight. But that enjoyment always involves others, or you want it to involve others. The thought of being on your own all your life, living in solitude like a hermit, and enjoying in that way, for most persons that's terrifying. I was speaking to some Bhakti Yoga practitioners and sympathizers today, and all of them brought up the relationship issue. How can we be happy without someone else around? So that's the natural human feeling. That's why advertisers and marketers, when they want you to bond with their product, they always show a group of persons having a good time with it. A group of persons eating this, drinking that. Because that is the actual human conception of enjoyment with others. So the formula goes like this. Enjoyment plus others equals memories. So when you think back to the few golden moments in your life, those are the memories that you want to savor and cherish. So that's enjoyment. What about satisfaction? Satisfaction is usually described as the feeling you get after you've struggled to attain something. You've studied hard, you've passed the exam or got a high mark, you're in some kind of sports competition, which you trained for, which you prepared for, and then you won. Never mind all the effort, never mind all the struggle. You attained the goal, the prize. So you're satisfied. Yeah, it was all worth it. In fact, I deserve it. You pat yourself on the back, and you want others to pat yourself on the back too. That adds to the satisfaction. Recognition that you gave it your all, you left it all on the playing field, as they say, and you won. So there's enjoyment, there's satisfaction, and then there's meaning. So you can live without enjoyment for a while. You can live without satisfaction for a while. But how can you make it without meaning in your life? Just think about your proceeding as if you had no meaning. What's the point in even lifting your head off the pillow in the morning? There's no meaning. Many persons will say like that. The universe is a cold, remote, dark place, meaningless, full of randomness. The only light that you can create for your own life is to create your own meaning as you go along. How many of you would be satisfied with that? You're nothing within nothingness. Or more specifically, before your birth, there was just an infinite expanse of nothingness. And after your death, there'll be an infinite expanse of nothingness. So why make such a big deal about the spot of your life, sandwiched by two infinite expanses of nothingness? There's this brief speck of a life known as you. Why take it so seriously? Just realize nothing has any meaning, nothing has any importance, there are no values to affirm to. Just find your own way at the particular moment you're in. Anyone here tried to do that? No, you want meaning, and you're looking for the best possible meaning for your life. And then, along with the enjoyment, along with the satisfaction, when you have that meaning, you feel normal. You feel even empowered. But meaning is not the all in all. Although it's one of three factors necessary for your happiness, meaning can be broken down further into three subcategories. This happiness, this material happiness stuff gets complicated, doesn't it? Come on, Swami, we just want to have a good time. What's all this, enjoyment and satisfaction and meaning, and then meaning has three subdivisions. We just want to feel good. Be with someone who makes us feel good. All right, it's not going to last, but so what? So what are the three subdivisions of meaningfulness, a meaningful life? Number one, you need a sense of coherence. That sounds fancy, but what actually does it mean? It means that you need to be able to fit all the occurrences of your life into a framework that makes sense. Then you have coherency in your life. Yes, now I understand why that happened. Now I understand why this will happen. Maybe I didn't understand it immediately, but gradually everything starts to fit together in my framework, and therefore I understand the meaning. Besides coherence, there is purpose. that means your life has to have some kind of mission statement. I'm alive for this reason, to accomplish this. I was born to do such and such. This is my life's purpose. And then finally, significance. Your life has to matter to someone. First of all, it has to matter to you. If you feel that your life matters to no one in the universe, it's not seen to be significant by anyone, you practically want to commit suicide. You just feel hopeless. So you see, disconnected from Krishna, the happiness pursuit becomes so complicated. So does Bhakti Yoga deal with happiness? How does it handle enjoyment, satisfaction, meaning, and then coherence, purpose, and significance? How do Krishna's teachings in Bhagavad Gita handle all that? We look at the 9th chapter and we see Raja Vidya Rajaguyam. This is the king of knowledge, the most confidential wisdom. Pavitram idam uttamam. It is the most pure knowledge, the most purifying wisdom. Prayaksha avagamam dharmam. It's directly perceived. The results are directly perceived. Sasukam kartam avyayam. It's joyfully performed, this process of bhakti. And it's endless. There's no end to your activities in bhakti. You might think, I'm chanting Hare Krishna in order to be happy. That's great in the beginning, and you're right. But gradually you'll understand that you're chanting Hare Krishna to chant more Hare Krishna. So you might say, well, how is that a goal? Chanting Hare Krishna to chant more Hare Krishna. But the deeper that your chanting is, the more you realize that Krishna is the same as his name. By chanting Hare Krishna, we are associating with Krishna through sound. Often people say, why can't you show me Krishna? I want to see Krishna. That's nice as an aspiration, but more progressive, more advanced, more realistic would be, I want to hear Krishna. So just think about it. Why do we place so much emphasis on seeing when we have 4 other senses? Why this demand? I want to see Krishna. It reminds you of a song that was popular back in my youth. That meant a long time ago. I want a love I can see. That's the only kind of love that means a thing to me. I don't want the love you have to tell me about. That kind of love I can sure do without. So this is where we're at. We want a Krishna that we can see. That's the only Krishna that means a thing to me. I don't want to hear about Krishna. I can do without that. But hearing about Krishna is the same as associating with Krishna. That is the secret of bhakti. Association through sound. Our mistake is to think that chanting Hare Krishna, hearing about Krishna, is just like any other sound, everyday sound. That's a big mistake. But it's understandable when you make that mistake in the beginning because of a lack of knowledge. But as you progress in bhakti, indeed it's the understanding starts to dawn upon us that Krishna is the same as his name. We have no material experience of such a phenomenon, of someone being the same as their name. as you become deeper in your chanting practice of the Hare Krishna mantra, gradually the dust on the mirror of your mind is cleansed, and you begin to see. First of all, you begin to see that you're not the body. And because you can see in the purified mirror of your mind, you can see that you're not the body, then you realize, what's the point in my having material desires when I'm not material? And in this way, your life becomes so much easier. You're not, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, always absorbed in yearning for what you don't have and then lamenting because you're losing what little you already have. When the fever of material desire goes down, then you finally feel peaceful and you can start thinking straight. Now, just because the fever goes down of your material desires doesn't mean the end of the process. The fever goes down, you're now in a healthy state. What do you do? And this is the most confidential knowledge, as Krishna presents in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Confidential knowledge means to understand you are different from the body, and you're different from the mind. But that's not enough. It's a great beginning, and most persons these days never get that far. But even if you do, with your intelligence, understand I'm different from matter. I'm different from physiology and psychology. Even if you're able to intuit that or intellectually deduce it, it's not enough. But we'd be very happy if someone brand new walked in tonight and said, I've come to your gathering because I've intuited or I've deduced that I'm not the body. Come on in, sit right down. But how often is that going to happen? What we're actually offering is the most confidential knowledge. Far beyond you're not the body, far beyond you're realizing you have a spiritual identity, what we're offering is activities of the spirit soul in perfection. How to use your senses for the eternal, for the full knowledge, and for the full share of beyond material happiness, but ananda. There's no English match for ananda. You could say bliss, but that's a kind of a funny word. I don't know if you go around telling your friend or your partner, I feel bliss. It's just not a word that you ordinarily would use. You would say, I feel happy, and that means previously I wasn't happy, and after a few moments I won't be happy. But what about this? What about the activities of the spirit soul in perfection? That you have actually activities that you do as a spiritual being. This is what Krishna says is the most confidential knowledge. So in Bhakti Yoga, you learn how to use your senses for eternality. Usually when we use our senses, it's about temporary stuff, right? Temporary thrill, temporary stimulation. You see pleasing things to the eyes, but those things don't stay around forever. You hear pleasing sounds, but those pleasing sounds don't last for long. Pleasing fragrances, pleasing touch sensations. Everyone knows about all that, but it doesn't last. But Bhakti Yoga is giving you the knowledge of how to have eternal sense activity. To do that, we need to know that this temporary body is covering our eternal senses. So instead of the body being a tool of delight, it's actually causing problems. That's hard for a lot of people to understand. Sometimes they get a little flustered, get a bit out of hand. Swami, are you saying that the body is condemned? No, I'm saying that the body is a tool for realizing our non-material senses. People are very sensitive about body criticism, anything that's perceived in that way, anything that minimizes the value of having a body. But we should think, this body won't last. What is its purpose in achieving what is eternal? Without that understanding, we really don't understand the value of the human body. Without understanding that the human body is a tool for achieving what has no beginning and no end. Without understanding that, we're trapped on the temporary platform of what has a beginning and what has an end, and we'll never be satisfied in that way. So yes, Bhakti Yoga involves spiritual sense gratification. Maybe some of you remember reading in the book Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, where Srila Prabhupada explains that sense gratification exists on both the material plane and the spiritual plane. When I read that, gave me great relief. Back in the day, I was a New York enjoyer, and so I realized at least a little something. What I realized was that, this is before opening the Bhakti Yoga wisdom text, I thought material pleasure isn't all that everyone makes it out to be, but it seems to be the only game in town. So what can you do? You got to play the game. Although it's not the greatest, but it's better than nothing. If I become spiritual, what do I do with my senses? I just go around saying, I'm spiritual, you're spiritual, everything is spiritual in its own way. But meanwhile, my senses want sense objects, right? They want to taste nice things, hear nice sounds, see nice forms, pleasing touch sensations, so on and so forth. So unless there is spiritual sense activity, we are not going to let go of material indulgence. So this is why the Bhakti Yoga wisdom is so essential. It's not enough to know that you're different from the body and mind. That's kindergarten. It's not even kindergarten, it's nursery school. You have to make further progress to the knowledge that's most confidential, that you have a spiritual form with spiritual senses. But that spiritual form with spiritual senses is covered now by the material body, which is distorting your perceptions. This requires some humility to appreciate, because generally we're so sure, I know what I'm seeing, I know what I'm hearing, I know what I'm smelling, it's me, and I know me, and I know my senses, and I know what my senses are perceiving. But the Bhakti Yoga wisdom will teach you to be skeptical of your sense perception. Not that you disregard it completely. That would be completely impractical. But you understand your senses are limited and they're problematic. Your material senses, mind you. So that's why our happiness endeavors don't work out because we're operating with our material senses, which distort reality. So what Krishna is trying to get us to do, and he says, Yaksha avagamam dharmyam, this most confidential knowledge of your pure spirit self with spiritual senses, it can be directly perceived by the purified self. So this is the necessity. This points to the necessity of having a purified lifestyle. So another name for Bhakti Yoga is lifestyle engineering. How to shape your lifestyle so that you uncover your pure sense perception. Remember, right now our spiritual senses are covered by the material body, and that material body with its senses is distorting our spiritual perception. So therefore our vision of what is happiness is actually quite perverted. That's why we settle for such temporary experiences and call them satisfying, call them happiness. So we can do much better, but if we require knowledge. And we're happy to know that Krishna gives the process for putting the knowledge into action and getting the result. Many of you have heard me explain before that nowhere in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna ask you to believe in him. Nowhere. You don't find that verse. Please believe in me. It's not there. Everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, here's the process for experiencing what I'm saying. Put the process into action. Here are the results you'll get. Isn't that fair? So who would deny such an opportunity? Only someone who is determined to waste their valuable human form of life will deny such an opportunity. Having a purified lifestyle is so important. I know it sounds very strange. You need a purified lifestyle. It sounds like no fun at all, right? Purified lifestyle. Oh, that sounds very painful. Sounds like denying all the good stuff. But if that good stuff is so good, why have you had so many problems with it? Why does it come and go so quickly if it's really good stuff? So Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, Yehi samsparshaja bhoga, the happiness that comes by the contact of the material senses with the material sense objects, comes and goes so quickly, has a beginning and end. The smart person, the truly smart person, doesn't fall for such indulgence. Now you're thinking, how are you going to hold out? How are you going to prevent yourself from being victimized by temporary so-called happiness? You have to have something better. Otherwise you won't be able to hold out because you want to experience pleasure. Our problem is we don't know what real pleasure is, and we refuse to become qualified to experience real pleasure. And remember, if you accept Bhagavad Gita as it is, you're accepting that material pleasure will never satisfy you because you are spirit soul. You can pretend you're satisfied when you're an illusion, but how long does that pretending last? Better with real knowledge. And that's why this is called the king of knowledge. Better with real knowledge that you use your temporary human body to enter the realm of real sense satisfaction. But that takes a purified lifestyle, a lifestyle focused on reviving your dormant spiritual identity, your dormant spiritual sense activity. This is what the Bhakti Yoga process is bringing you to. So we should not be afraid that, well, I'll admit, I was afraid when I first started reading Bhagavad Gita that you live a purified life. Where's your fun? Where's your enjoyment? I'm living in Manhattan. I thought it was the center of the universe. And I'm supposed to follow such a lifestyle? What am I going to do? Especially at 21 years old, you know. How many young men here are around the age of 21? Raise your hand. 2, 3. Did you know when a man is 21, he's at the peak of the male hormone cycle? That's another way of saying what? You're a walking forest fire. How are you going to deal with that so that you're not overwhelmed by that blazing wildfire? You need higher experience, and that higher experience comes from higher knowledge. So finally, this means that the Bhakti Yogi happens to be the smartest person, not only in the room, but the smartest person all around, because he or she has figured out that I cannot be satisfied with material sense activity. You won't be satisfied with material relationships. I was speaking earlier today about a very surprising statistic in the USA, that everyone knows the new Maya, the new illusion called open marriages. The statistic is that for those over 30 years old, 35% of the adults in the USA, those above 30 years old, they think it's okay to have an open marriage. If you're under 30, though, the statistic for the USA is 55% think an open marriage is okay. So you see how society is getting wilder and wilder. There's just no rules. There's just no traditions. There's just no inhibitions, no barriers. That means animal life. Now you would say, come on, Swami, why call it animal life? It's just human beings trying to, trying their best this way or that way to have happiness. But a human being is meant for higher levels. The more we understand that, the more successful our life will be. So this is why Krishna says in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya Raja Guyam. This is the king of knowledge. This is the most confidential wisdom. Pavitramidam uttamam. It's the best system of purification. Purification means your disease goes, you become healthy, and then you can enjoy as a healthy person. Pratyaksha avagamam dhamyam. The process gives you results that are directly perceived by the self. It's happily and unlimitedly performed. There's no barrier, there's no limit to what you get in the bhakti process. You depend on how far you go. It depends on how much mercy from Krishna you get. But if you do the right things, you're positioning yourself in the best way to get the most of Krishna's mercy. So it's a combination, it's teamwork. your lifestyle and Krishna reciprocating with your lifestyle. This makes for the most productive and the most successful life. All right, any questions? Oh, nothing tonight. Yes.
Thank you so much for this class, Maharaj. What you said about people wanting to see Krishna and placing so much importance on the eyes or seeing, and then you went on to say that the secret is hearing.
Yes. We have 5 senses. Think about it. Why so much emphasis on what the eyes see? What about the other senses? Especially when Krishna says, I'm going to come to you first through the ear. And we say, no, I want to see. I want to see. What's wrong with your ears? Why do you deny that you can associate with Krishna through sound? Why does that seem to you to be so unrealistic? We're so hung up on the eyes. I got to see it. Seeing is believing. No. The yoga wisdom teaches us hearing is not only believing, hearing is experiencing. If I've never been to downtown Los Angeles and you start describing downtown Los Angeles to me accurately, does that mean I'm experiencing downtown Los Angeles through your words? I'm actually right there? No. But for the purified bhakti yogi, just hearing about Krishna brings Krishna right there. This is actually confidential knowledge. I shouldn't be telling so much like this. Anything else? Yes, way in the back.
I think this last my question is, so once you start getting down the path of Krishna consciousness, to the point where most of your karmic relationships with your friends and your family have kind of faded away, with people that you really loved in this, I would have been working out again, but it still hurts so much. How do you move on or deal with that aspect?
Deal with what exactly? Just speak a little louder, please.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
when you're going like
I heard the first part. You're developing in bhakti, and your old friends and acquaintances and family members start slipping away.
yes, people who aren't devotees, things like that. So just how do you deal with moving on from them or from your past?
I remember when I was living in Manhattan at the age of 21, and I had my friends. I was known as a pleasure lover among my friends. I knew where all the good times were in New York City. I knew the best clubs, the best cafes, where all the best concerts were, all the happenings I knew. So they relied on me for that. But when I started reading Bhagavad Gita and the other bhakti texts, I never told them I was doing that. But one day they confronted me. Hey man, what's happening to you? You're into something really strange. We don't know what it is. What did they detect? What do you think they detected?
Your bhakti.
No, they had no idea what is bhakti. What do you think they detected?
Lack of interest.
Huh?
Your lack of interest.
Not a lack of interest per se.
You were happier.
Yeah, okay, they detected I was happier, but they thought, this is weird. He's not doing all the stuff that's supposed to make you happy. But what they really detected was a decrease in material desire, and that freaked them out. They were totally bewildered. What's come over you? Like, it's not the same you anymore. Where's your appetite for it? You know. Where's your lust? Where's your greed? So I never said anything to them. I didn't explain what I was doing, what I was reading. I didn't tell them a word, but I never saw them again. They never contacted me again. They were so like, ooh, we don't know what he's into, but all we know is he's gone cold on us in terms of material desire. And that's what our group is all about. Ferocious material desires. And he doesn't have that ferocity anymore. So how did I get over that? I had new friends, bhakti friends. You have to associate with someone. So, okay, my materialistic friends dropped me. I didn't tell them what I was doing in my spiritual life, but they dropped me. I was glad I never suffered the loss because I had real friends. You know, there's two things, real friends and deal friends. What's a deal friend? Just someone who's a friend of convenience that, okay, we're at the same job, we're at the same school, and yeah, I know you, you know me, but what's in the forefront of our vision is whatever goal we're trying to achieve. We're on the same sports team. That's a deal friend. But a real friend is someone, now if you're a materialist, you'll define a real friend as someone who you build a relationship with regardless of your job, your studies. You're truly interested in one another and getting to know the other person better. But in bhakti, a real friend means a partner in enlightenment. Just like so many devotees today were telling me how they want a companion, a partner. So I asked them, what's the purpose of the companion? What's the purpose of the partner? Well, just someone who's around. There should be a higher purpose than that, and that's why I present the reality of partnering in enlightenment. Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage arrangement, helping two persons or more, helping one another in spiritual development. That kind of friendship will replace all the so-called friends that are leaving you behind. Another example. It's one young lady, this example from New Zealand, since Gore is here. She took up bhakti at the age of 22. And she hadn't seen her old friends for about 4 years until she was 26. And they found out where the ashram is and they came to see her. And they kind of sat down with her and they said, you know, we can see you're happy, but you're doing the wrong thing because you escaped the realities of life. We're miserable, but we're stuck with it. But you have escaped. Even though we see you're happy, that's not the point. You ran away, you escaped. But we are struggling, so we're better even though we're miserable. You get it? No, you don't get it. This is a true story. It's like if you're in a house on fire and you run out successfully to avoid getting burned, and you make it out to the street and people say, "Whoa, you're escaping! Whoa, get back in that burning house." So this is the kind of idiocy you have to put up with sometimes in order to take to the bhakti process and progress. You've got to tolerate such Anything from this side? Any last thing from that side? Yes.
Well, sometimes when you've been trying to perform devotional activities, whether it's chanting or something else, the mind can still go to so many materialistic things, even when trying to be devotional. So how can we actually get absorbed in our service and our devotional practices and get that higher taste?
Well, you mentioned first the chanting. The best kind of chanting comes from a sense of anguish. And that's not as bad as it sounds. But just as Lord Chaitanya himself demonstrates, I'm so unfortunate I have no raga, I have no attraction for the Hare Krishna mantra. You feel that how can I? It's amazing that I am chanting the same mantra that Lord Chaitanya chanted. And I'm so unfortunate I have no attraction, no natural attachment for it. So you feel a sense of deficiency. That is very good. That's a very wonderful spiritual symptom. But I suppose when you look at it from the viewpoint of pop psychology, someone would accuse you of having low self-esteem. And whatever you do in the age of Kali, don't have low self-esteem. That's considered the greatest disaster. So people don't understand this chanting Hare Krishna with anguish. It's not material anguish, like, It's the anguish of feeling separation from Krishna. And here I have the ability to associate with Krishna through sound, and due to my residual impurities, I'm not taking full advantage. So you're determined, you're proactive. I'm going to go on with this chanting. Gradually my mind will become tamed. I won't become disturbed when sometimes my mind jumps me and bangs me over the head. I'll keep pushing, because chanting Hare Krishna is a lifelong career. You've got to plan out your life, how you're going to be always chanting Hare Krishna. It's not a phase that you're going through. I remember when I first took up the bhakti practice, 1972. My father was enraged. My mother was very loving and affectionate, attached to her oldest son. She said, "Oh, it's all right. It's just a phase he's going through." But the phase has lasted 52 years. So yes, don't be too proud to beg with your chanting. And often we are too proud to beg. I'm chanting, doing everything that should be done. I don't feel anything. Where's Krishna? When's he going to show up? Where's the bliss? That kind of attitude would not be pleasing to anyone. What to speak of be pleasing to Krishna? So much of chanting involves the right attitude. Calling out to Krishna with transcendental sorrow that I can't call your name with full devotion, but I'll keep trying. So it's not like you're wallowing in self-pity and have no proactive plan to move forward. You keep trying. Sometimes you get defeated. You've ever been defeated in your martial arts? So did you just, that's it, finished, I give up? What did you do about the defeat?
Train harder, try to get better.
Okay, apply that to your chanting, to your calling out to Krishna for his mercy, and everything will be fine. Anything else? All right, Shall we have some kirtan, or what happens next?